Indigenous Strands, Simply Julia Lauren, Toriana Stewart all grew their hair long using versions of the same routine and they saw great results. I grew my hair from shaved to healthy mid back length with it too. But when I slowly drifted away from that routine, that's when I started noticing I was still retaining length, but my hair was thinning. So I'm going back to it with no messing about because my next goal is to get to tailbone length. So, what exactly is this routine and can it help you to achieve your hair goals as well? With these three women all achieving long hair with the same principles, and I know it has worked for me too, that's too many results to ignore or for us to think it's just genetics. It's not genetics, it's definitely not luck. I believe it's hard work, consistency, and dedication to the basics. Now, some people with low porosity hair feel that the indigenous strands method doesn't work for their hair, but African Hair God has said this in reference to hair porosity.
Porosity is not for the general public. I'm sorry, you guys' understanding of porosity is completely misinformed and ill-informed, and also y'all really don't know how to gauge your own porosity, and you're going based off of other people's perceptions of what porosity is versus what it actually is in reality. And porosity is on a spectrum, but for some reason none of you seem to realize that some of you are actually normal porosity as opposed to low or high. But that's because you don't really understand the spectrum of porosity.
But I certainly appreciate that you know your hair better than anyone else. And so, if that's you, then there may be one or two slight amendments to this routine that you can make. And I'll talk about this in a moment. And also, people with fine hair often say that the indigenous strands method doesn't really work for fine hair because of the products. But I've got a recommendation that could possibly work for you too. Once again, just stick around. So, what does this indigenous strands routine actually look like? Firstly, you are going to pre-poo your hair before washing it. So, you do that by spraying some aloe vera juice and using olive oil. Now, pre-poo for me, my definition is very, very simple because I'm a simple girl. It just means preparing your hair before shampooing it. Now, don't ask me the details of what the aloe vera juice or what the olive oil is exactly doing as a pre-poo. I don't know. I have just simply followed this routine and I've seen it work. That's it. So what you will do is once you've got those ingredients on, you'll put a plastic cap or a shower cap over your head. Let that sit on your head for about 30 minutes before we start shampooing. Second thing is we're going to cleanse our hair with a natural shampoo. Now, Indigenous Strands used soap nut, and I believe the brand Henna Souk does have a version of soap nut shampoo bar, but I personally haven't tried it, so I'm not saying this as a recommendation. I'm just letting you know that that's one place you can get it. I personally will be using African black soap shampoo, which I make myself, and both Simply Julia Lauren and also Toriona also use African black soap shampoo. So you'll probably want to be cleansing your hair at least twice, during the shampoo. If you do want to go back to Indigenous Strand's original way of cleansing her hair, what she used to do was use apple cider vinegar mix with aloe vera juice, and she would spray that on her scalp and her hair, rub it in as though she's shampooing, and then simply rinse it off with water. And I personally, I do have a clarifying shampoo. However, if I wanted to keep it 100% natural on this journey, then I would probably do something like that. So maybe do that once a month or possibly once every 2 months. But it would be good to definitely check what the ratio is of how much ACV to aloe vera juice, just to make sure the mix isn't too acidic or too alkaline. And then after that, you just rinse your hair off and that's it. So third thing is going to be to reapply some of that aloe vera juice. And this is where you are rehydrating your hair. Now, I know some people with low porosity hair feel that aloe vera juice doesn't really work for them. I think one of the reasons for that is because their cuticles are closed and therefore the hair struggles to let aloe vera in. But also, aloe vera is considered a humectant. And so, in the winter months, it can make the hair feel drier, which is worse. So, if you are somebody with low porosity hair that still wants to use this routine, then one thing you can try is diluting the aloe vera juice with water so that it's more able to penetrate your strands. And another thing is applying it straight after washing your hair whilst your cuticles are still open, whilst your hair is warm, freshly washed, and then it's more receptive to receiving that moisture. Then definitely try putting on a shower cap or a plastic cap to help keep your cuticles open and also allow the moisture to seep in. If you are totally against using aloe vera juice, then there are other liquids that you can use. So, for example, distilled water, cold black uses that, rose water, or you can make certain hair teas as well. But for me, I'll be using aloe vera juice mixed with water. And I will say, as far as I know, I am mainly low porosity. However, the ends of my hair and also the front and right at the back of my hair, I believe is high porosity. Right. Now that you have hydrated your hair, you definitely want to keep it moisturized. And how Indigenous Strands does this is by applying some olive oil and castor oil to the full length of her hair. Okay, I believe that I have seen her somewhere using shea butter. However, for some reason, I couldn't seem to find that on any of her YouTube videos. Maybe I saw her using it on Instagram, but when I was looking on YouTube. So I'm not sure, but I'm quite sure I've seen her use shea butter somewhere. So just to clarify, what I'm saying is that you can either spray your hair with aloe vera juice or whatever liquid it is, and then follow it with just the castor oil. Or you can do the liquid, then castor oil, then shea butter. Or my personal preference is liquid, then shea butter, then castor oil. Now, if you have fine strands, then you may feel that castor oil and shea butter are a bit too heavy for you. And this is where it's about focusing on the principle of sealing the moisture in rather than the exact products or ingredients that are being shared. So in regards to shea butter, you could try mixing that with an oil of your choice and then whipping it, because I personally believe that's going to make it feel a little lighter than simply just applying raw shea butter on your hair. Or if you prefer, you may just want to replace that product full stop with a different cream or butter. Then with the castor oil, again, it's just a case of replacing this with an oil that already works well for you with your hair. So that could be jojoba, it could be argan oil, it could be coconut oil. It's just whatever works for you. Switching the products doesn't mean that you're not following the routine. It just means that you are simply customizing it to your own hair type, and that is perfectly fine. Right, so just a recap so far. Pre-poo, firstly, with olive oil and aloe vera juice. Then you're going to shampoo with soap nut or African black soap or apple cider vinegar mix. You're going to hydrate with aloe vera juice or a liquid of your choice. You're going to moisturize with castor oil and or shea butter, again, or oils or butters of your own choice. And now let's go to the last point. This is going to be to seal our ends with flaxseed gel. So we'll be applying flaxseed gel only to the last couple of inches of our hair, and it creates a strong hold which reduces friction on the strands and prevents the ends of our hair tangling up and forming more single strand knots, split ends, or breakage. So that's the order that we're going to do things. However, this can all fall flat if we don't implement some of Indigenous Strands' key tips on how to prevent breakage. So let's talk about that now. The first one is that we will do this whole process in twists. Twist is going to be my protective style of choice, which means I'll be washing my hair in the twists and my hair will not be loose at any point during this whole process. So after washing, we're going to take down one twist at a time, moisturize it, detangle it, and twist it back up, and then move on to the next twist. That's going to be the process for my whole head. From what I understand, Indigenous Strands washes her hair monthly, I believe, at a minimum, but sometimes it was maybe less often than monthly. So I think in terms of how often to wash, this is really up to you. I personally tend to wash my hair every 2 weeks, but I am aware that that is different for every single person. Simply Julia Lauren washed her hair weekly, whereas Toriona washed her hair, I think it was about 4 times a year, like every 3 months or so. So, I do think it's important that I bring in those 2 very opposite sides of the scale, because it just goes to show how different everybody's hair is, and also the fact that this routine can still work whether you want to wash your hair weekly or whether you only want to wash your hair 4 times a year. It doesn't matter. And one of the ways that we are going to reduce breakage is by keeping a shower cap or plastic bag on the rest of our hair when we're not working on those sections. What I mean by that is, if I'm working on this twist, then the rest of my hair will be covered with a shower cap so that the moisture doesn't escape my hair. Because if I let my hair dry out, then I start manipulating it, that's when I begin to cause breakage. And that for me is what I started doing. That's why it resulted in thinning for my hair. Another way that I'll be reducing breakage is by reducing my use of hair bands and instead pinning up my hair. So I may just be pinning it like it is now, or it may be in 2 braid crowns and then pinned at the back. And you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I believe that my use of hairbands was potentially making the matter worse. Lastly, this is a really important one. In between wash days, we will be reintroducing moisture to our hair and redoing twists if we find that they're extremely matted and they need some extra care and attention. So you don't want to let your hair get to the point where it's almost locking. So to re-moisturize, you will just spray some of your aloe vera juice or whatever liquid it is that you're using, and then once again apply your oil. And you would want to do this on a bit of a schedule. So you will need to understand at what point your hair gets dry and then begin to moisturize it the day before. So for example, my hair gets dry around about day 7, 7 days after I wash it. So I tend to do this process at day 5 or 6. If you want to add to the routine, of course, you could do that. You could focus on increasing nutrition intake, increasing physical activity, taking supplements, things like that. I personally am not going to set myself any routines in that area for this particular challenge, though. Now, I find the real difficulty with this kind of routine is not the complexity, it's being able to actually stay consistent. Now, I did this consistently for about 4 years and I saw so much length retention, and then I just got off track and my hair started thinning. So I don't want that for you. So for me, this will be a year-long challenge. My hair anniversary is March, so I'm going to be going until March basically. And if you want to join in, I would say do it for a minimum of 3 months if you can, but 6 months ideally. And I would say 12 months if you are absolutely serious. If you want to measure your hair before you start, you can. I'm not too sure yet if I'm going to measure my hair, because I just want to actually focus on being consistent with the routine rather than hitting a specific length at this stage. Plus, my goal is to get to tailbone length anyway. And so I don't believe I'll be hitting that by the end of this year, or by March either. So I'm just really going to focus on sticking to the routine. If you do want the full breakdown of this challenge and the routine in a more simpler, written format so that you can always return to it, I've put together a free download for you. So I'll link that in the pinned comments down below. And whilst you're scrolling down there, you're actually going to pass the subscribe button on your way. So you might as well just click it. Now, I will say this before I go. Even with a good routine, a lot of people still stay stuck at shoulder length. And it's usually because of a few mistakes that they don't even realize they're making. So if your hair never seems to grow past your shoulders, then click on the video that's on the screen now, and I'll tell you 9 reasons why your natural hair might not be growing past your shoulders, and also how to fix it. So don't sleep on that one. And lastly, if there are any updates to this video, for example, an update from the challenge, then I'm going to link it on this side for you.